Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the ReZero Network. I am Don Peppier, and I am joined by Rich Walker.
Hello.
We have been playing some Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, the HD remaster that's coming to PS4 this July. You played the original?
I played a bit on PlayStation 2 back in the day when it originally came out. What was it, 10 years ago now?
10 years. I think it came out 2007 here.
Yeah.
But 2016 in America.
Got fairly far into it, and then it was my brother's copy I was borrowing. I had to give it him back, and I never went back to it afterwards. So, yeah.
It's one of my favourites. I know it's a contentious thing with Final Fantasy, but I do love it just because it's a more action-based thing. Yeah. I love Ivalice as well, the world it's set in. It's very kind of like Middle Eastern-y, Indian-inspired. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Nice.
So I like that quite a lot. You can even see it in the kind of design here. But this is all new. This stuff here is brand new.
I don't remember any of this.
So this is 12 classes you've got here, all based on Signs of the Zodiac, hence the name.
Yeah.
And each of these has its own license board. A license board being a bit like the skill tree thing you get in Final Fantasy X, you know, the sphere grid, where you can, say if you're playing Auron, you'll get all the heavy attacks and the attack stuff, and if you're playing Riku, you get speed and agility. It's like that for each class. So Balthier is the gunman. He's in the original thing, he started off with guns, and you could eventually work on your way to bows or whatever. This basically lets you start off with a gun, but then when you get to a certain point on the board, unlock a secondary board. This one, I've gone for Hunter, because Bowman, Gunman seems to make sense. And it basically gives you access to a whole different lot of skills. Now, these can really synergize with other classes. So you've got a battle mage and maybe like a knight, your kind of tank class. They'll work really well together because you get like a lot of attack boosts or a lot of heavy armor. Both of this is going to be very good for accuracy and range stuff. But then also you might want to put a hunter with someone that's a proper up-close fighter to give them the variation. And depending on, see the little bits at the side of the board here, the bits that aren't attached to the main bit? They need to be unlocked by having other skill trees unlocked. So there's all sorts of different nonsense going on.
My goodness, this looks incredibly deep. I can't believe this wasn't in the European release to begin with. This is all stuff that was in the original Japanese release, right?
That's correct, yeah. So Japan got a secondary version of the game once we got one of ours. It's called, confusingly enough, it's called the International Zodiac Job System. It just wasn't the case at all. So that did let you have more jobs, but this one lets you have 2 classes, and I think that kind of synergy is great. But it does mean that these guys, aren't the assets really well done? Like,
yeah, I was thinking how good it looks actually.
For a PS2 game, it's good. Square are very good at doing the remasters.
Nicely.
Absolutely. The HD thing, it doesn't feel out of place, does it? It doesn't kind of be at odds with itself. Oh, that thing there, that was a pop-up map. They call it the smooth overlay, which I love.
Smooth.
Someone at Square is a fan of Sade, maybe.
Smooth operator.
Yeah, smooth overlayer. Sorry. But that basically allows you to bring up so you got the mini map in your top corner, but we're obscuring that right now. But so when you click in L3, it brings up the entire map from the entire area you're in, which makes it a lot easier to navigate, because this game was labyrinthine.
Yeah.
It was a real
big. I remember getting lost a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Even this level here is quite relatively early on in the game, and there's so many different zones. So that's really cool. It's a nice, lots of little touches like that the game has. So that's really good.
Nice.
But yeah, so we never got a chance to experience Final Fantasy XII with the different classes and stuff. So it's really nice that they've kind of given us the opportunity for that now. And also, this game came out really like quite far towards the end of the PS2's lifespan. I think a year before. No, a couple of months before the 360 and the PS3 came out. So not a lot of people really got to experience it, which is a shame, because it really did push the PS2 quite hard. And
possibly another reason I abandoned it, like I did.
Because you had the new launches to look forward to.
all the new stuff,
So it's good that we're getting this now, and a really decent reworking of it as well, to kind of like, you know, people that maybe 12 is the gap in their FF knowledge. Maybe they played 10, bypassed the MMO 11 and 14, because you would. But
here's your chance to revisit it.
You know, if you went from 10 to 13, you're going to think the series fell a long way. In the middle is a really shining gem that is 12. And it's nice people see that. So you've got all the Final Fantasy stuff in there as well. You've got Marlboroughs there doing their bad breath and giving me all status conditions and stuff.
How come you're playing as Ash right now?
Princess Ash, because she can summon stuff at this point in the game.
Van is the protagonist, isn't he?
Van is what they call the main character, but that's up for some debate, I think. But he's like the kind of, he's the guy you follow from the start of the game. This little vagabond street urchin dude. So yeah, and you've got this kind of like sort of misfit royal entourage. But yeah, people say that the real heroes of the game are Balthier and Fran.
Right.
Because, you know, a lot of the story kind of does revolve around them more, like as a central crux in the players of Ivalice, which is where the game is set.
Baltio was cool, wasn't he?
He was cool.
Space, Sky Pirate guy. Yeah.
Proper like CAD, isn't he? Like English, like oh my lady.
Yeah, the Han Solo to Van's Luke Skywalker.
Absolutely,
right?
and that therefore makes Fran Chewie, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it does. Yeah.
So here's very quickly. You can see I've got the ×2 speed on, which is handy for the game at any point in time, anywhere. It lets you hit between ×2 speed or ×4 speed.
Yeah.
So being an RPG, if you want to grind it out, if you want to go and explore stuff, if you want to go and get a chest that you've missed across the entire side of the map, you can just speed the game up, and it really cuts out all that chaff in the middle of JRPGs, which they do get a bad rep for, because so much of them is about grinding. So,
handy and comical.
It does look a bit like Benny Hill, doesn't
it?
But it's definitely, I used it a lot. Even during my very brief hands-on, I was using it a lot just to get around. You'll see in this fight, this is a pretty difficult boss battle, and I had it on until I realised, no, I probably should be taking a bit more time and care. So that's good, the fact you can just slow it right down for boss fights and then just bang it up if you've got your Gambits set up. That's another whole thing about Final Fantasy XII, actually, the Gambit system.
Oh, wow.
It's basically like you can program your own AI. It's like what they call a flow chart. So if you've got a white mage on your team and you say target any character with less than 30%, they'll automatically cast Cure.
Yeah.
Or if you say attack any enemy with more than 50% health, that's what they'll do. So it's quite smart, and you can do different things for different classes. So you can say for your support attacker, your support guy, anyone that hasn't got Protect, cast Protect. Once they have got Protect, cast Reflect, and then once everyone's got Reflect, cast Firaga onto that character to do more damage to the enemy.
Right.
Because reflecting off yourself does more damage.
Okay.
So it's just things like that. There's a lot of depth to this game, and there's a lot of quite nitty-gritty stuff. Nuanced, yeah, absolutely. And I think if you look at the battle system, because it's quite actiony, you might miss that at first, because it does look more just like, oh, all you're doing is wailing on people.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to it than that. So that's really cool.
Forgot how foxy Fran is.
She is foxy, isn't she? Look at her hair. Look at how well they've redone her hair in this and everything.
Right? Despite the weird rabbit ears.
No, they're not weird.
Yeah. No? You like that? You're into that?
No,
okay.
That'll do.
Kind of Playboy bunny.
see her just wiggling there if you're casting spells as well. Great. And she's asleep as well. So yeah, this is one of the relatively kind of mid to early bosses. He's a big fan of status effects, as we see right now with his spores. Aren't spores weird?
Yeah.
So this is basically like bad breath from a Molbra. It will just
nasty.
Just cast everything on you.
Jeez.
And so I realised that at this point, and I then remembered that this game has summons. They're not your traditional Final Fantasy summons. They're not Ifrits and Shivas and Rammers and stuff. No, these are different names because all the traditional names are used on airships instead. So we have Belias now. And he's basically Ifrit. Let's not lie about it. He's just Ifrit.
Yeah. Weird looking dude.
He's like a kind of guy living in someone else's beard, isn't he?
Yeah.
But he's in all but name. He's Ifrit. He's even got a move called Hellfire, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Kind of tells you where he's coming from.
Absolutely. So
he also looks slightly Ifritish.
He's got that kind of bulky,
silhouette,
fiery, identifiable. But I guess that helps people that do know the kind of tropes of FF to kind of he's the fire dude. He's one of the first ones you get. He's going to be pretty gnarly. So when you summon an Esper, I believe they're called, you will lose the rest of your team apart from the summoner and the Esper. But if you've got a support character, or if you're kind of something, you can cast buffs on them, so you can make their attacks do more damage. There's a little counter down the bottom corner there that he's got 4 little beads, I guess, left. He's doing much more damage than anyone else on my team was, so it's worth having out. I have edited this fight a little bit. It went on a bit longer than it looks here, but Belias is this guy's name. He just have Hellfire, just like Ifrit, and even the kind of animation for it, they've not gone halves when they've remastered it. They've really gone to town, making sure it's all correct and feels like it should run on the PS4.
Yeah, it looks like a proper full-blooded remaster, right? Not some bodge job.
It's not just some cheap ass port.
Yeah.
They're not just like kind of like getting the game and Control C, Control V.
Yeah.
It's a good. They've rebalanced the whole enemies and everything, because you've got 2 classes. You're going to have to make sure everyone's all different and the game's equally as challenging. And also, there's no footage of it here, but check out another video later on that we'll do. There's a trials mode.
Oh wow!
So there's like a horde mode you can access from the main menu. So if you get bored of the story, which is one of the better ones I think in FF as well. You can just jump into trials mode and like do a horde mode thing, and that will the specific rewards and conditions that will grant you and stuff. So it's all worth doing. Like, it's a really It's a very deep game.
Nice.
So yeah, that Hellfire did some pretty good damage here. I've got the speed back up now, just to finish him off with. And that's it. That's the end of the Elder Worm. And that's the end of kind of our demo, I guess, as well. So
that speeding up seems a better used as an alternative for fast travel, right?
Yeah, I think it's better there than in big fights like this, especially towards the end when they get really tricky.
Yeah.
So,
but that looks really cool.
Yeah, man. That's Final Fantasy XII: The Zodiac Age coming to PS4 on July the 11th. So if you have enjoyed our video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks a lot. Bye.